returns in a property. On the one side, you've got the capital growth, and on the other side, you have what you call your rental yield, or the rental income as a percentage of your property. So when we speak about rent as a percentage of the purchase price or the value of the property, we are talking about rental yield, and you get gross rental yield and net rental yield. Gross rental yield is before any expenses. So that's just your rent multiplied by 12 divided by your price that you acquired the property at, whereas your net rental yield would be your rental income less your expenses like levies and rates and rental commissions, etc., multiplied by 12 for your annual rental income after expenses, and that divided by the purchase price or the value, depending on what you want to measure. Now, to talk about a specific percentage is going to depend very, very much on the strategy that you are following and also the type of property that you are investing in. Because if you are investing in a cash flow property where there's not necessarily a lot of capital growth and everything is about the cash flow that that property generates, then yield becomes very important, and that yield needs to be high. Now, the national average is somewhere between 10 and 11% gross, meaning that your annual rent on average in South Africa is somewhere between 10 and 11% of the value of the property. Now, if you are investing in a property that is showing a lot of promises or a lot of promise from a capital growth perspective, an investor would be willing to accept a gross rental yield that's below that average. Whereas if you are investing in a property, maybe in an area where there's not really a lot of opportunity for capital growth, but rental income or cash flow is very important, then you need to be above that average. So it depends very, very much on the type of property that you are going to invest in.
Jaco, as we round up our conversation on structuring portfolios, any final tip for our viewers at home when it comes to them deciding on the appropriate structure and, of course, how best to structure their property portfolio, whether they're starting out their property journey or they've already got some properties in their personal capacity and looking at different ways to restructure and position themselves for growth?
Absolutely. Thanks, Zama. One thing that I want to tell you is one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they are penny wise, pound foolish. And it is so, so important that you do the proper homework and that you set up the proper structuring when you start. It's going to cost you a lot more to fix it later on. So rather sooner than later, make sure your structure is in place. And if you have any questions on structuring, you're also welcome to message me on Facebook or on our website, where we will help you with the right structuring advice as well as restructuring advice, where you can then, the portfolio is restructured in the correct way.
And that is where we're going to leave it at this evening. Jaco, thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's always such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
And that is Jaco Grobelaar, who is the Managing Director at Prosperity Enterprises, wrapping up the Friday edition of the Private Property Podcast with myself, Uzamantunga Khumalo. I'll be back on your screens on Monday evening at 7 p.m. It is a Friday, so you can look forward to the Home Shoppers Show with Chad. Until then, hoping you're staying home and staying safe.